Yeah, you better. Yeah, you better. Yeah, you better. Yeah, you better. Yeah, you better.
Numbing Senza used for 20-25 minutes. After when we draw eyebrow shape and just highlight everything, I usually map when clients sitting up, especially when most likely most of the client have a symmetry, so and over 35, but to get no surprises I will map while client sitting up. But afterwards I can lie down on the bed and correct and make more sharper eyebrow shape. And make sure your pencil is very sharp because that will add some weight. And if you show client when some area is thicker, thinner, of course they will be concerned the eyebrows is too thick, and so it kind of leads to not trust you as much, even though you might do still great. But try to make your mapping spotless carefully and thin edges everywhere evenly as well. I'll be honest with you, when client talking to you is very complicated to work, but well, our model have a lot to say and very hard to keep her quiet. Well, I also like some adventurous eyebrow styles, so it's like you work with what you have and see how that goes. So you still try to do a perfect job, even client don't want to stay quiet, which is fun. Yeah, and also when client talk and you talk, it takes a lot longer. So if you have appointments back to back, that's a little bit the best way I just stay quiet. But sometimes clients just don't need you even answer, they do what they want to do. Well, focus on the shape. I use the thing a very thin Q-tip would wanna kind of makes more sharper, easier. If you use Q-tip is larger, so it's not giving you, it does not allow you to have a really good thin shape. So we'll fix everything up. I do not clean eyebrow until I do first pass. I want to make sure that I'm not taking it out too much hair, and well, that works for me, but for somebody maybe just starting is confusing. Where's the line? So you can do it before, but this is how I used to do it, and this is how I do it. And now our design is well prepared to start outline and shade it in. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna start to do a lower line with a soft motion, repetitive. I like to create bottom line a little bit more pronounced than top, so I'm gonna start from the bottom, and she likes to look right in my eyes and your eyes, guys. So everything looks good. She got approved design, and is a little bit camera is not in the right place. Okay, so we select the color and we clean it up. Often clients are afraid that if you put something on the forehead, but I just like to mix with the skin tone, so to see how it's going to look like. Even though we know it's going to be a lot lighter, client think the pigment just going to stay just like that. I wish it was that easy, but it's not. So after when we select the color, Artist, brown, I really like those colors. What you see, this is what you get. Even for the light skin tone that she's something like level 2, and she have combination skin, and actually sometimes even more dry. Here does not look like it's dry, but I see the retention after this work, it took pretty well and lasted for her as well. So I assemble needle in front of the client so they know that is not used, even though they fear to see the needles. But our model is fearless, so we show it to her and we can start work. I start from more of slow speed, because if you work on a fast speed you might not feel it. You see the strokes is very slow. Extend needle a little bit more, that way you have a more precise, so 2.5 millimeter, it becomes more precise. Here's a little closer look. Our movement, that's exactly what I did, just a little bit more close up. Stretch the skin and go right on the contour, and see how pigment just flow in with capillary needle. I love this needle, by the way. It makes life easier and works fast. Especially, remember, our client is talkative, so we continue to go soft line. It's pretty much 3 times over the same area. To be honest with you, I don't really account. It just go automatically in my head, and my hand just flow. When I start work, I quiet, I don't talk. She kind of starts do the same thing. And we stretch the skin, try to be careful with the eye, often lay over the eyelashes, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. We continue, and here, this area, we have to tilt her head. And sometimes client will fight back, and they won't let you do it, but okay. Now we're going up. We're going up around the contour. And here, when I go on the top, yes, we have to tilt this. That way, we're not deep in. So we continue to hold machine 90 degree as possible. It's not always really 90. So I just went up and I start shaded in without the continue to contour. But I'm not passing over the eyebrow. Okay, so what we got here, we continue shaded in. We're going from bottom to the top, and I get a little bit more loose on the top. We of course going to change direction of our motion to make more blend, and hopefully have a softer top and more saturated bottom. That way it looks best when it heals. But yeah, so we just continue doing the same thing and switch to another eyebrow. And sometimes you see that she likes to talk, so we have to stop, because then we don't really hit the skin properly when movement under your hand. So we have to sometimes cut it short, try not to reply, and continue to work. So our goal to achieve great results, because in the end, if we continue stop, client will be not satisfied. So we just have to we need to get things done. So we just not reply, and hopefully we can finish faster. Here, please be very careful when you do front. When you get closer to the front, it always has to be softer. So our motion have to be more spread, more loose. We don't force the skin we don't force needle to the skin. We have to make sure top is shorter than the bottom. That way we create more softer natural shape, and we can use that technique, that flying out needle, so from your body out. That will leave more softer, powdery look. You see the pixels, and we keep the top corner empty. That way we not create boxy eyebrows. So that actually mistake of many beginners. As they drew, they continue shaded in without take out the consideration that even if it's square eyebrows, the top corner have to be lighter. That way it doesn't look square. Same motion on the other eyebrow. So we did the bottom line, and then we start shading in. Do you know why one eyebrow, especially this eyebrow, will be darker than other? Because position of our body with the other hand will actually apply more pressure on this eyebrow. Believe me or not, you often will see result that one darker than other. So what we have to do, we have to work on this eyebrow, which is left eyebrow, always softer, and make sure position of the body, our needle not tilt too much, like 70 degree or 60. That way you enter the skin too deep. So it looks very often darker, but sometimes you can avoid that. Also matter, you see the capillary needle have a window where air comes in as we work. So make sure direction when the window directed on the bottom, it gives more flow of the pigment. Do you know that? Some artists might don't even know that. And if a window face up, applies less pigment, so less pigment flow. If you do one eyebrow with a more saturated, another less saturated, that also can lead to different color of the eyebrow. So keep all these points in order, okay? and see what we get. So now I will use razor to clean up the eyebrow, so I will have a nice looking shape. So I know what hair to keep and be very gentle, stretch the skin so I didn't cut my client. And I don't like to use tweezers. Some hair will be stubborn, I will use tweezers, but with tweezers sometimes you can pluck the skin as well. So razor probably the best option. So we create nice shape right now, and while anesthetic, secondary anesthetic working, so you give like 30 seconds for it gets really numb, and I will do cleanup while it is numbing. So now I have a shape, so now I just have to blend it in, make sure there's enough pigment throughout the whole eyebrow, tail darker, front lighter, bottom more pronounced, top a little bit more loose. So that's our goal. And this first shape, if it does not look after first pass, you probably didn't apply enough pressure. So, or your needle maybe is too out. So make sure it's 2 millimeters, and that should be a good left color after first pass. So now we just continue to apply pigment, and soft front again, and more saturated on the bottom, and tail more darker than the front. So that's our goal look. So we just continue to do what we gotta do. Now it's easy. Now we have a shape, so we just follow it. It's no brainer, just easy. We keep going.
but you had to be all into me. Can we relax, take it off track, and we divide and conquer? These feelings we're having is a take off while we're landing. I want you to understand. Maybe you could give me a time to change your life. But I really wanna change your point of view. Really wanna change to see what we can do. Really wanna change to show you something new. Really wanna change your point of view.
So now we're preparing our second eyebrow. We see what we get after first pass. I can say is a lot of color after first pass. It looks good. So now I just want to clean up a little bit more. Make sure they're on point, that they look good, and we continue to color in. So everything just repeated from side to side. There's not really changes. Everything the same. On this eyebrow as well, so just continue. So now while we're doing everything repetitive, let's think about, don't forget about our desired look. We compare both eyebrows, remind ourselves that they have to look symmetrical. So we always keep eye on the second eyebrow throughout the procedure. Make sure we're not overdo, and pretty much repeat both sides as much as possible. I know none of us are symmetrical, but as we work, we also have to all keep track, make sure both eyebrows are the same. That way in the end, we can lift the client, double check and add, but throughout the procedure, also don't forget symmetry. Try to achieve as much as possible. So we not just get caught up in our thoughts, we always keep in mind other eyebrow too. And as a beginner, I will suggest even account how many passes you do on each brow so it matches. That way color also can be in the end similar on both sides. You don't want to do 4 instead of 3 on the other one. So make sure you don't forget about those things. And top corner have to be lighter. That way it's not boxy, 90-degree square. It has to be a very soft square. right eyebrow more stubborn, color not as smoothly go in on a rather than left eyebrow. That could happen too throughout the procedure. So we on the third, I will still not apply more pressure. I'll just make sure color. I will stretch more rather than apply pressure. I will probably use that, but I will never press with a needle harder or something. Sometimes you can increase the speed if they're happening too. Again, if you put too much anesthesia, it blocks the color going in smoothly. So we try to put minimum anesthesia throughout the procedure, 2 maximum 3 times, but not more. It will definitely reduce amount of pigment that will stay in the skin, because anesthesia have to help us to go through procedure, but you know, they know what they sign up for is tattooing. And if we don't use anesthetic at all, we probably not even need a touch-up. So anesthesia does affect how much color will stay in the skin. So I try to minimize that. Keep client very, sometimes they cry even when you don't touch them. They're very sensitive. So you're forced to put more anesthesia, but that could affect the end result. So sometimes you have to toughen it up or pretend like you never heard them, what they say, and try to act confident. It's okay. We can survive through this. It's not a big deal. If somebody interested to know what I vibe with, I use Spirit Vibes. It has vitamin E and help to not keep as messy. Somebody like to use soap. That's okay. I use soap usually for eyeliner ink or black ink when it's really not on the eye, of course, but when a face get really messy, I use soap. But I think Vibes take care of the most of the ink, so I keep it clean as I work. Never use soap on the eye, that's for sure not, but just for the skin. So whatever artists like to work with, but Vibes is probably my favorite. So procedure going to the end, and we finally can see finally result. And I just change direction, make sure you blend in better, stretch the skin, and I go up with the needle. The way pixels blend and there's no lines and transition more smoothly. And on the front work very slow. Yeah, you better. Yeah, you better. Yeah, you better. Yeah, you better. Okay, final corners, and then I will put color mask. Color mask will absorb color and open skin more rather than keep depositing. So overall we have a 4 passes, and then we apply color mask, 3 pass, and fourth one was really defined. Little touch-ups here and there where I see need to add color. I put color mask. Don't forget last pass has to be change direction. Leave for 2-3 minutes, and we can wait to see final result. That's before, and that's what we get after.
Yeah, you better.